Yo, what is up guys, my name's Hakiii, and in this video I'm going to show you the best Imani tech cars in GTA Online, an updated version of this one. Although it's not an official car class in GTA Online, the Imani tech category is absolutely stacked. There's been so many new Imani tech cars added in recent DLCs, and in this video I picked the 10 best ones that you can drive in GTA Online, so let's get straight into it. These are in no particular order, I just decided to group them all together. The first one is going to be a relatively new one, the Paragon S. I'm already a big fan of the Paragon R we have in the game because I love the look of Bentleys, so the fact they decided to put a more modern Bentley into the game, basically a newer version of the Paragon R, is awesome in my opinion. As they say though, it's not all about the looks. Even though it's a great looking car, I think we can all agree on that, it handles great as well. One of the most stable cars I've driven in a while, and it's got some pretty good speed as well. It's not going to be as fast as some other cars we have later on in the video, but it's definitely a great all-around vehicle, and with the missile lock-on jammer on it, it's a very safe vehicle to drive around in free mode. I love the active spoiler you have as a stock option for this car, plus the stock wheels look amazing as well, which you can't say about a lot of cars. The rims you're seeing in the gameplay are the stock ones, and in my opinion they're one of the best looking ones in the entire game. Not only do the stock rims look awesome, but you can actually color them, which isn't really an option, a default option I should say, in GTA Online for whatever reason. But to color these stock wheels, the trick is to actually equip another set of wheels, color those ones, and then switch back to the stock option, and then you'll have colored stock wheels on the Paragon S. It's a really neat and easy trick that you can't originally do. Usually if you try to switch back to the stock wheels and you can't actually color them, it's gonna kick off the color that you had on them before. It really should be a standard option. I don't know why we don't have it, but anyway, let's move on to the next car. Next Imani tech car is another luxury style vehicle. This time it's the Turismo Omaggio, based off a really nice looking Ferrari. I don't think we have too many Ferrari inspired vehicles in GTA Online, so the Turismo Omaggio is definitely special for that, and it looks amazing. I love the look of Ferraris, and this definitely looks very similar to the real life version. This one's definitely in my top 10 favorite looking cars list, possibly top 5. And besides the absolute 10 out of 10 looks this car has, it also has a decent variety of customization, like some pretty cool liveries. Some are a bit simpler and some are some racing themed ones. On top of having the missile lock-on jammer Imani tech upgrade, it's one of the best performing supercars in the entire game. It's a great option for racing, and overall a very well balanced performing car with good handling, great acceleration, and some good top speed. This is a car that has a ton of upside and only one downside being the price of it, about $2.8 million. And if you want to make it look as realistic as possible, definitely go for like a classic Ferrari bright red. It looks so good with that paint job. There really aren't many supercars that are Imani tech upgradable in GTA Online, so the fact this is such a nice looking one and it performs amazingly and it's safe to drive in free mode, this car is amazing. Let's move on to a sports car now. This is the most French sounding car in the history of GTA, the Panthere La Carouse. Or if you want to say it in a fancy way, I guess you could just say Panthere La Carouse. Hopefully that earns me a French passport right there. But anyway, the La Carouse has one of the most ridiculous tractions in the entire game. It's so difficult to spin out with it, it's almost stuck to the road. Surprisingly, it's good both on and off-road. I mean, as a sports car, you don't expect it to have great handling and great traction off-road, but it actually kind of does. I don't take sports cars off-road often, but I feel like with this one, it's actually a pretty good option. It's an electric sports car, so it's got some crazy good acceleration and some good top speed as well, but not nearly as good as some other ones we have coming. The main thing that stands out for me with this car is actually the traction, but what's special about it is it's not only Imani tech upgradable, it's also HSW upgradable, so it's got enhanced performance upgrades, making it even faster. Only a select few vehicles in the game are both Imani tech and HSW upgrades, so this car is definitely really special for that. Then we have the king of the off-road class, which happens to be Imani tech upgradable, the Terminus. This is one of the most realistic looking vehicles in the entire game, not only because it's based off a really modern looking Jeep, but it's actually extremely similar looking to the real life version. I don't know how they managed to make it so accurate. Usually they have to change it up at least a little bit or just make a hybrid of two vehicles into one. Before this vehicle came out, I actually had a modern Jeep on my wish list to be added into GTA Online, and that's exactly what happened. It's also one of my favorite vehicles to customize. There's so many different options and you can make this car look so many different ways. The Terminus is one of the most customizable vehicles in the entire game that are non-bennies, of course. And like with the Turismo Omaggio, the only downside with it is that it's a bit pricey for an off-roader. It's not going to be anywhere near as as much as the top supercars, but it's about $1.8 million. Despite being pretty expensive for an off-road vehicle, I actually do think it's worth the money. Top tier vehicle in any category you can think of. Then the Itali GTO Stinger TT holds the crown for the fastest top speed in the entire game. It's one of the, if not the fastest lane vehicle you can use, maybe along with the Hakiii drag motorcycle, although that one isn't Imani tech upgradable. And like with the Lockaroos, the Stinger TT is also one of the few vehicles that's both Imani tech upgradable and HSW upgradable. With the HSW version of this car, it is insanely fast, and the handling isn't the greatest. Because it's so fast, it kind of lacks in traction sometimes, so going around corners can maybe be a challenge, although if you're a more experienced player, you might be able to handle it decently well. The downsides of this car is one, the traction we already talked about, but also the price. If you want a fully upgraded HSW Stinger TT, it's going to run you about $4 million total. Keep in mind you have to buy the car and then do the HSW upgrade and all the performance upgrades and Imani tech and all that. It's pretty expensive. The upsides of this car is one, the insane top speed, good customization options. I really like the clean liveries it's got, and also the good looks. The Omnis EGT is up next, and it's also a great looking car. It's based off an Audi, and it's probably in my top 10 nicest looking cars in the game. Now with this one, not only does it have the missile lock-on jammer that you can put on it, but it's also got an extra armor upgrade, so it takes several missiles to fully blow it up. It's good to know only some Imani tech vehicles have that extra armor plating upgrade, some don't and only have the missile lock-on jammer, but the Omnis EGT is one of the, if not the most armored Imani tech vehicle out there, and it being an electric car makes it naturally have really good acceleration, but not the greatest top speed. It's got okay top speed, but compared to something like the Stinger TT, this is absolutely nothing. Another electric Imani tech car, this time it's a supercar. It seems like a lot of Imani tech cars happen to be electric. The Ocelot Virtue is up next, and you can actually get it for completely free, so this one's a must-have if you ask me, just because you don't actually have to pay anything for it. All you need to do is complete the first dose and last dose missions, and then you get it as a reward at the very end with a special livery on it too. Definitely worth taking advantage of that instead of paying like over $2 million in the in-game websites. Up next is one of the most luxurious vehicles in the whole game. That's the Jubilee. Based off the Rolls-Royce Cullinan, that is such a nice car. Holy crap, but Rockstar actually did this car dirty in the interior, because basically what they did is release a super nice car but give it the most basic and standard interior ever. It doesn't fit a Rolls-Royce whatsoever. It doesn't particularly shine in performance. I mean, it's got good speed and good handling, but it's not anything that's gonna blow you out of the water. But it does have a machine gun on the front of it, which is very useful. Not many Imani tech vehicles have that. It doesn't do a ton of damage. It's not as powerful as the weaponized Ignis, but it's still there and it still does an okay amount of damage. On top of that, you can actually equip slick mines on this thing, so pressing down on the left stick, you can put down a mine if someone's chasing after you. One of my favorite SUVs in the entire game. Next up, we have the Monstrosity, the second off-road vehicle on this list after the beautiful Terminus. This one's also a great option. It's a really good off-road vehicle that doesn't have a lot of clearance off the ground, so it's not going to be able to go over like giant rocks, but it's still a very fun vehicle to drive around. Obviously great for off-roading. It's a relatively quick one as well, both great handling and fast, but the main highlight of it is actually taking it into Los Santos Customs and customizing it. A lot of unique options like roofs and liveries. You can customize the spare wheel on the back of the vehicle, and there's actually a few invisible parts glitches you can do with this certain vehicle. The rear windows can be invisible, and also you can have a literal floating logo on the back. A logo that's meant to be on a spare wheel, but then you could just have the spare wheel invisible and only the logo showing. Up next is an awesome muscle car that's one of the most popular ones, and rightly so. The Buffalo STX is the best performing muscle car outside of HSW upgraded vehicles, because something like the HSW Vigero ZX is by far the fastest, but if you don't have HSW, let's say you're on last gen or something like that, this thing is definitely the one you want to use for muscle car races. Great speed, good handling for muscle car, and maybe on top of the Gauntlet Hellfire, I feel like this is the community's like fan favorite muscle car in this game, and I can definitely see why they like it. I mean, it being Imani tech upgradable is awesome. You can just drive around safely. There's so many other cars I could have chosen to put on this list, but it's a tough one to pick which ones I want to include. The Champion could have easily been on this list, and the Buffalo EVX and the Envisage. There's a lot of options. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you're new for more awesome videos like these that you do not want to miss. Click the video on screen now for an updated fastest cars in GTA Online video. I hope you all enjoy that one, and peace.